Good morning, everyone. It's my morning. I'm just waking up, so it's episode 50005 of the Pondering Infinity podcast. Today is February 9th. It's 1:02 p.m. I want to jump right into the financials and then get started with everything that's going on. So, Bitcoin is at 44,229. Let me put my glasses on. XRP is at 89 cents. XLM is 24 cents. Doge is 16 cents. And then the Dow is at 35,726. The Nasdaq is at 14,437. The S&P is at 45.79. Gold is at 18.3540. Silver's at 29.53. And I also wanted to put in crude oil today is at $89.40 a barrel. That's going to be a little important a little later on. So I have been thinking a lot about this podcast and webcast. Oh, first I need to apologize to my Georgia Bulldog listeners about my story with the fabric. I wasn't implying that Alabama had better fans in general, just when buying fabric, they do. So, go Dogs, woof woof, whatever y'all do. So that's out of the way. I got to thinking about how much editing I had to do that other day and little time that I have. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to find my niche. And since I started the podcast only about a week ago, and came up with the or was approached with the idea, or I don't know, suggested that I do that only about a month ago, there hasn't been much time for me to do market research or figure this out. This is the first time I'm doing something like this. So I started listening to just other media, mostly WSB, the radio, to get ideas, besides Lex's podcast. And I started jotting down some of the people that I've listened to and what trait or attribute from their show I'd like to incorporate into mine. So I'm just going to run through this list and then explain what this means. So what I'd like to get from each one of these shows. So Joe Rogan, the pre-sellout Joe Rogan, I'd like to get his irreverence. I'd like to have the range of conversational areas that Lex Friedman brings to the table. The conviction of Eric Erickson, the unconventional nature of the von Hessler doctrine, the lightheartedness of the Mark Arum show, storytelling. I'd like to really focus on that, but Bill Whittle is the king of storytelling to making a point. Maybe the shock value of Howard Stern, the trustworthiness of Walter Cronkite, and of course the brilliance of Rush Limbaugh. Now, before you shut off the recording, they're all, you could argue they're most conservative leaning. That's going to become less important as I get to my final point of the day. So please stick with me until then. But the one thing, after thinking about all this, the one thing that all of them have in common is that they all started from with no experience. None of them were naturally born. Maybe you could argue to entertain, but naturally born behind a mic or a camera. So I need to try to keep in mind that I'm just starting out and stop being my toughest critic and just let go. So I just wanted to get that out there. So I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to try to edit as I can. I'm not going to talk about this again. I'm going to go. So while listening to all these different shows, and things kept running through my head, and with the Ukraine and the Russia story and the China Olympics, the Olympics in China, the melatonin study that just came out. I heard a news story about the IRS wanting to put biometrics, face recognition, or something like that on to get your own data. The economic news, the inflation being so high and the unemployment being so low. I know at work we can't get people, we can't find anybody to work. And the nurses in the hospitals, and it just none of this makes any sense to me. I can't find anybody to explain it. How can the inflation rate be so high and so few people are working, or so few people are unemployed? I don't know. So the COVID, of course, with the schools and the shots, and I'm still wondering how HIPAA laws aren't being violated left and right, trying to ask for the shot if you're vaccinated. So I want to play a clip of Dr. Manolis Kellis on Lex Friedman's podcast. And this clip is a good illustration of why we are being torn apart. It's not Republican or Democrat. It's not black and white. It's not black versus white. We're all humans, and we're all mostly the same. So this is Dr. Kellis, and when I come back, we'll kind of unwrap it and get a little going more. So here's the clip from Manolis.
Let me ask, you kind of took a step back to the genome outside of just humans, but is there something that you find beautiful about the human genome specifically?
So I think the genome, if more people understood the beauty of the human genome, there would be so many fewer wars, so much less anger in the world. I mean, what's really beautiful about the human genome is really the variation that teaches us both about individuality and about similarity. So any two people on the planet are 99.9% identical. How can you fight with someone who's 99.9% identical to you? It's just counterintuitive. That's, I think, something that teaches us about sort of the nature of humanity in many ways, that every one of us is as unique as any star and way more unique in actually many ways. And yet, we're all brothers and sisters.
Okay, so that's Manolis, and so we're 99.9% the same. And all this stuff in the news and all this going on, and we're doing this to each other. And we need to stop and realize that we, the citizens, are enabling all this to happen. We're giving these politicians the power to do this. So the election cycle's coming up, and it is just amazing to me that. So I hear a commercial that David Perdue is running for governor of Georgia. Not on his merits, not on his track record, for the sole purpose of not allowing Stacey Abrams to be governor of Georgia. If that's not the most ridiculous thing, or Vernon Jones dropping out and going some, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. That any time, it doesn't matter if Republicans in the House, Democrats in the House, it doesn't matter what you think about Trump or Obama. It seems like the needle swings very little, relatively off center, to affect the citizens of the country. So when whoever's in office, it just seems like they spend half their time campaigning for their reelection, and the other half is really, maybe they have the best of intentions when they go to Washington, and just they get stuck in the cog in the machine, and they can't exert enough effort to make any changes. So that's what it looks like. They're trying to change things, but we can't see anything because they never get an opportunity for things to actually change. So we really need to, but we don't know their intentions. I mean, only what the facts that they run on, and then when they get into there, even if they stay there for a long time, it never moves the needle very much. To me, it just doesn't seem like. And I think it's because of the two-party system, is that we don't have an actual third party that really represents the citizens of the United States, and by extension, the citizens of the world. Every human being has inalienable rights, that you don't have to live in the United States to have those rights. But speaking from the United States, as a citizen of the United States, I think it needs to start here. So we need a viable third party. So another thing on the news was the increase in gang violence, and I heard a news report that said there were 170 gangs in Atlanta, and it made me wonder. I asked the question using Elon's, what he espouses as the first principles thinking. I just asked myself, why are there gangs? Why? What is the appeal? What is going on that we've had Republicans or Democrats in every city, and every major city has gangs, or there's just social issues that everybody running for office runs on, but nothing ever gets addressed. It seems like to me, I don't know, I don't see it. It never gets addressed at the fundamental level, and where we should demand it. We as citizens should demand it, but we need to come together with a unified front. So the gangs issue, it just made me, ask the question, and I put it out there to a couple of friends in my network, and somebody replied back that they know somebody that left a gang. So I asked if they talked to me about it, not on camera, off the record, and not using names. I'm not trying to be shady about this, but just answering some questions. So I asked her, or we'll call her G. I asked G, what led you to the gang life? And she went through and she said it was just, she didn't realize the people in her life loved her, and she was missing something, and she found that in a gang, and it was like a family, and she was young and she made mistakes, and she joined this family, and she was telling me about how they get initiated in this gang, and it's so you either can get, I guess I can say that you can either get fucked in, where she would line up and have to have sex with a bunch of guys, or she could get beat in. And I thought that was odd. She explained it more. So there were 4 guys and 2 girls in a circle around her, and they would, for 5 minutes, they set a timer, and they would just pummel her. And she could fight back, but they would just beat the heck out of her, and if she went down on more than one knee, it started over again. Now, that's a weird kind of family dynamic, in my opinion. But, so, she took the beating, and she got in. And then, without going into more detail, she went through some of the stuff that she did. And, I mean, there were crimes, there were rapes. I mean, it was bad stuff. Abortions, all in the name of filling a hole in your heart or in your life. She wound up getting pregnant and getting out through a path, and I really don't know how far I should go into that, but so she wound up getting out, and this was a while ago, and she's been out a while, and she has turned her life around, and it's a good story, happy ending, but unfortunately not most of them don't end this happily. She was telling me that at any point in time they could come after her for leaving, but right now everything's okay, and she has no idea. It's almost like constantly looking over your shoulder. Witness protection without the protection. I guess, I don't know. Oh yeah, my science doesn't give a fuck what you believe. Coffee cup. Morgan got that for me. So after having this discussion about the gangs, it just really got me thinking more and more about this us versus them mentality, and back to my original point, whereas it's not black versus white. It to me, it boils down to the citizens versus the elite, or and by elite, I'm talking about the politicians, or whoever we give power to, whether it's through our dollars, athletes, and I'm not saying don't protest, but don't protest when you're doing your job. You're free to have whatever opinions you want, but keep them off the field. It's no different than me doing my job. If I can't go into my job and take a knee because I disagree with what's going on, or what's, big picture, what's going on in the world. So, protest on your own time. Or, like comedians or musicians who, when you buy their ticket to go to their concert, when you're at their concert, they just start spewing political nonsense. Like, have your opinion, but don't do it on my dime. Don't give me your opinion on my dime. Give me my entertainment that you promised me on my dime, and then, on your free time, do whatever you want. So those are the elitists, or movie actors that get millions of dollars. Like, they get millions of dollars because we give them millions of dollars. So we have an opportunity, if we wanted to we could really change the world, and we need to look at it, in my opinion, like it's something we want to do, like a humanitarian party or sovereign party. We all have inalienable rights as a sovereign being under God. And if we change for the better, then there's an opportunity for us, more of an opportunity for us to change the world. And just imagine, there's a melatonin study that just came out that they're saying melatonin's bad. One week, cholesterol's bad. So I think science just needs to step up and set the record straight. There's so many different things that could be just resolved flat out. And then you're free to do what you want, as long, it's like the ultimate libertarian, right? If science came out and said there are two genders, man and woman, X and, there's of course there's edge cases, or there's chromosomal defects, or whatever they are, but there's man and there's woman, and science comes out and settles that. But then if you go to, like, on Saturday, we went to PetSmart, and we went in and to get a harness for Timber, and the person that checked us out, I had asked Angela after we left, I said, that was a guy, right? And she said, yeah. So he had, he had eyeliner on, and he was trying to talk in a more feminine voice, but I was pretty sure it was a guy. Like, okay, whatever. He checked, I don't know, checked us out, and we left, and it was fine. When we were walking in there, there was a Bath and Body Works, and Bath and Body Works had a sign that said, like, you belong here, all inclusive, or something like that. So they hire all types of people. And I thought, well, that's great. If I'm a business owner and somebody comes in, and I'm looking more at competence levels than what they look like. So if you're really good at what you do, I don't care how you dress, as long as or how you look, or you do you. But if you bring competence to the table, and that's what I'm looking for in a position. So while we were in PetSmart, there was the trainer that was walking around, and she is a older woman, a little older woman. She was going around to couples training their dog and helping them train it. And so I thought, well, that's a little more. If the roles were reversed, and that the guy that checked us out was actually training, and that presumably requires a higher level of competency, I'd be fine with that if she was effective and competent at training dogs. So there's a correlation, I guess, between the skill level needed at a job and the competency level that that you're willing to put up with and trade off. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent there, but the point is that science can come in and settle a bunch of things, and flat Earth, if that's really a problem, or why if somebody, science or politician can tell me, lawmaker can tell me why cannabis is a Schedule I drug, and psychedelics are illegal, or DMT, why this is illegal. It's because we have the FDA, and we have all these other 3 or 4 letter agencies across the board that are just bogging down the processes or making it difficult. Just consider a world without the FCC regulations or NASA. We've shown, Elon has shown, privatizing space travel is the way to go. What's NASA going to bring to the table? And I don't mean advocating for getting rid of stuff. Science and research and all this stuff is important, and we need to move forward. But realistically, we need help now too. And if the government isn't going to, and government elites, government policymakers, they're not going to move the needle very much in the time that they have. So Bill Whittle, I remember listening to him, and this is the first time I heard this since I was an adult, but he explained that the original founding fathers, of the people going to Congress, it wasn't intended to be a lifetime job. It was intended to take them out of their livelihood, inconvenience them, in effect, bringing them up to make laws, and then going back to their regular life and living their lives. And it's just been co-opted over the last 150 years, or into what it's become today. Now it's just, they go in there broke, and they come out, most of them come out with, millionaires or billionaires, and they're doing it right in front of our faces, and we're letting them do that. So in this, I guess I wanted to get this point across, in this culture of canceling everything, I think we citizens need to cancel the government as the ultimate cancel. I don't mean violently, I mean through a process. And so really what I'm saying is cancel the government bullshit. Get rid of the bureaucracies. find a third party, a realistic third party that everyone's going to get behind, and call it the humanitarian party, or call it the sovereign party, and break things down using logic and reason, and break things down what's going to benefit humanity right now as well as in the long term. Where are we going to put all this research? Where are we going to put all this study? So all these, these AI and Elon doing all this privately, this is great stuff, and it needs to be done. But we also need to, we need to help people right now. If the unemployment rate is at an all-time low, or for however long it's been, I don't know the exact numbers, but inflation and what we're bringing home, the people that are working, I mean, I have a very difficult time understanding how the inflation rate is so high and the unemployment rate is so low, yet the trucking industry needs 50,000 truckers immediately. There's a nursing shortage. We can't hire people. There's restaurants that are closing down certain days because they can't hire wait staff and back of the house. I don't know. I mean, there's just local restaurants that are only open 4 days a week because they can't get anybody to work, but yet the unemployment rate. So did COVID really kill that many people off? Or one other thing I heard that kind of makes sense is that I think it was on WSB. Wes Moss, I think it was Wes, said that more people like 3 million people have retired since the pandemic came out. So they're presumably out of the labor pool, and I don't know how that affects the numbers if that's the rationale behind it. I don't know. But there's a lot of things that just don't make sense on the surface, but we as regular regular everyday working normal people, we're so busy about just what's going to happen later today, let alone tomorrow, let alone down the road. We can't, we need to go to work right now. Oh, the car's broken. Just yesterday, that's why I didn't get to do a webcast yesterday. So I intended to come home yesterday, and many days when I come home, I come in and I make breakfast for Ethan and Elijah before they go off to school. And so I get home sometimes around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I don't wake them up until 7:30. And usually Angela gets up and goes to work in that time, so I get her going, get her started out, gets her going. This is the few times that we get to see each other. So I stayed up. Man, a tickle in my throat. So I stayed up yesterday and made them breakfast, and a couple of weeks ago, Angela hurt her shoulder, and it's really, she's going through physical therapy. She hurt at work, and so we have a friend that, one of her friends was coming over to help clean the house while I slept. So Angela left and had called me en route to ask me to take something out of the closet for when Tanya gets there to clean the house. And so I don't know. I usually get if I'm not. I don't know if it's just me, or I get like a knot in my stomach when I get a phone call when I'm not expecting it. So it always. I guess I never really expect the phone calls, but just sometimes I don't know if you get that feeling. I get that feeling, and it just knot in my stomach, like something's wrong. So it wasn't anything wrong. So she called me. I got the stuff out and waiting for Tanya. While I'm waiting for Tanya to show up, Ethan had already left for school, and Elijah's in the living room. Elijah's in the living room, and before Ethan left, I had asked them if they had listened to the podcast yet, webcast, and they both said no, they haven't. Just like on Saturday, that was when we got together for Tyler's birthday. My own children still haven't listened to the podcast. Angela's the only one that listened to it. So Ethan hasn't listened to it, and Ethan left. So Elijah began to explain to me why the 18 and under demographic doesn't have time for podcasts, and they like listening to music, and they don't want to sit and listen to. And when in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, maybe it's because they listen to me all the time, and they don't have a choice. And they don't want to listen to me when they do have a choice. I don't know. Maybe that's the case, but so they were listening. They haven't listened to it, and Elijah was mansplaining to me how to capture the 18 and under demographic. So maybe I'm going to start working towards that. So back to the point of the government and changing everything. I don't know if it's very difficult for me doing this format to know when I've made the point trying to do this recording without the feedback loop of having either a conversation with somebody or interview or chats coming in. So hopefully soon that's going to happen. Plus I really want the opportunity to start decorating an actual studio. Maybe that'll help me relax a little bit more. I'm trying to work on this, go in this direction. But if you can just imagine all the money we spend on the war on drugs, if we had those facilities like another interview with Lex, Dr. Johnson, about the psychedelics, and a facility where you can go, and somebody at work messaged me. I need to look that up. Sent me a link to something similar in Alabama. So I'm going to go research that and look that up and see if there's anything to it. But Dr. Johnson is up at, I think it was Johns Hopkins, and doing research with psychedelics and DMT and all that stuff. But, it just seems, maybe it's coincidence that, that the DMT and the cannabis and everything natural is suppressed in favor of, drugs or pharmaceuticals that, have so many different side effects that you need another drug to counteract the side effect of the drug. So it just doesn't make any sense. Or back to the school issues, why do we not have school choice or voucher programs? whatever the arguments are, I mean, we need to discuss them. Why? Oh, that was the other. I don't know if I talked about it. Oh, no, I didn't. I wanted to email Eric Erickson and ask him about the redistricting conflict in Alabama, or controversy. I think I heard on the radio that there's an area where there are 5 districts and only one of them was majority African American, and they thought it was, I think they thought it was unfair because 25%, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but 25% of the population in the entire area are African American. So it didn't make sense to me why they thought there should be more than a representative portion of the districts as majority African American if that's the demographic of the entire area. Maybe I'm not understanding something, or get him to explain it to me. But it would seem to me that's about right in line. If that's 1 out of 5 is 20%, 25% of the demographic. I don't know. But it didn't make any sense to me. And this is difficult in this format when I'm trying to, I need to bullet point out better a timeline, what I need to talk about. That's something I'm working on. But yesterday, why I didn't do the webcast, Angela left. Tanya, Elijah was explaining. Then he went to school. Tanya showed up. She usually starts in our room, and so she can finish that up, and then I can go and get some rest. So as she was up there cleaning, I got another phone call, and it was Angela again. And this time, it was something bad. She said she's pulled off to the road. She heard a popping noise in the front right area of the car, and it won't move. So Ethan's truck is broken, so he took my car to work, or to school, and I was getting ready to lay down, so I had to call the school and have Ethan checked out and drive home. And I went, so once he got home, I went and loaded up the car, because that was the first thing I thought of was, oh man, that's the side that I did the work on a couple of weeks ago. I wonder what I messed up. And it's not out of the realm of possibilities that I did. So I grabbed all my tools, and I grabbed the brake fluid. And, so Angela was riding, or Angela had a CNA with her to help her out since her shoulder was hurt. So she got in the car with the CNA, and they continued on down the road. So I, throwing all this stuff in, all the tools into the backseat of the car, and I have this 4-ton jack that I use. So I threw that in the trunk, took the thing off, and I, as I'm picking it up, I tweaked my hamstring, and was hobbling. I mean, I don't know what happened. If I was bent over, or it's just my age. So I tweaked my hamstring, and then I'm getting in the car, finally getting on the road. So she's about, it was 27 miles away. So I hadn't slept yet, so I'm getting tired, and driving out there and going to Dawsonville, down the back roads, and there's a lot of Trump signs, Trump 2024. I saw one of these big Trump 2024 signs, and it occurred to me that, well, Pence isn't running, so he needs a vice presidential candidate. And driving along, I'm thinking, that'd be kind of a cool gig. I could do that with Trump. I'm available, or I could be available. Maybe we can actually get some real change done. Move that needle. But so I'm driving out there, and then also as I'm driving out there, before I get there, I think, man, what happens if I did mess something up? And I get out there, and I try to take the wheel off, and for some reason I can't get it back on because I need to meet I need the tow truck to come out there and be able to get the. I don't know if I could mess it up by just taking the wheel off, but at least now if it can move, then at least they can get it on. They'll just drag it on. Without a wheel, they wouldn't. I don't know what they would do. I'd be really, really screwed. So I got out there. I didn't take the wheel off. I just got down underneath and looked, and it kind of looked like something was wrong. I'm not exactly sure. It didn't look right, but something was catching. I don't know if it was with the caliper or... So I tried to put it in, move it further into the parking spot, but it wouldn't go forward, but it did back up a little bit. So hopefully, I noticed they finally towed it, and it got down to the repair shop, so I haven't called them yet. It's 2 o'clock. I'm going to have to call them and get that, see what's going on. The other thing is I got a package in the mail, and I wasn't expecting it. I had already opened it, but I was watching a video the other day. One of the people I'd really like to talk to is Jeff Goldblum, and I was watching a video of people doing impressions of him doing things. So I thought, I'm not going to do an impression, but I thought it'd be funny if somebody would do an impression of Jeff Goldblum opening a package that I didn't know, I wasn't expecting, or I didn't remember getting it. So, or remember what it was. So I opened it up before. I didn't do a Jeff Goldblum impression, and I realized that it's not technically an unboxing video, but it's my groove rings that Angela got for me. But the weird thing is, these, I don't know if you can see it, the cases are crushed in. I don't know if it's like a marketing tactic or they're actually got crushed. Or they actually got crushed. So this is actually unboxing. So I'm about to open this one and see which my rings. I got 2 wedding rings, the silicone ones, because at work I'd reach in and my rings often get stuck. And since I had the surgery, my fingers are thinner, and so instead of getting my ring resized, she doesn't want me to deglove my finger. Another wonderful topic, being married to a nurse, you get to talk about. Deglove my fingers, so she wanted me to get these silicone. And she was going to get them for me, and they were on sale, 2 for $40. So we got one. So I got to see which one this is. This is my... Well, it's not what I was... That doesn't look right. But try it on. This is... I don't think that's the right ring. I'm going to have to look at that one. That's not the one I really wanted. Anyway, it's this one. This is my Batman wedding ring. So thank you, Angela, for getting me a Batman silicone wedding ring. And the joy of imagining Jeff Goldblum opening my package. And so one last thing, and then I'm gonna quickly edit this, hopefully, and get it done. I last week, I think I reached out to somebody in so for a good bit, I was working at home and I went deep. I don't know if I covered this or not. That's another problem with this thing is I don't remember what I talk about day to day with my memory being so bad, but I may have talked about how deep I went into conspiracy theories. Oh yeah, I did. Crazy conspiracy theorist, and but yesterday or last week I reached out to people in that group to try to help. I don't want to say help them escape the clutches, but help them maybe some of them take another step closer to reality, and maybe not necessarily crush their theories, but just thinking another way to reach more people. So I reached out to them and to talk to him, maybe to get on one of their shows, and he actually offered me some time on their network. So we need to work out the details, but if it's something that I want to go on and pursue and have an audience, and I'm not giving this up, I'm just saying maybe that's the direction I need to go to get moving, to get the whole thing moving, and then circle it back around. I'm just thinking out loud, but I don't. It's just an opportunity, maybe to get reach faster to spread this. The whole thing, the Pondering Infinity thing. So we'll see where it goes. See if anything pans out. Still trying to get in touch with, make time to talk to, or I'd really like to talk to John Clark. We had talked about that. John Clark is Lex Friedman's instructor, martial arts instructor, and we had a brief email conversation, but still really like to talk to him. Also, we live on a planet. I'm still waiting to talk to him. Really want to. I reached out to the surgeon who performed my surgery. I'd really like to sit down and talk to him, have an episode about the weight loss surgery, the bariatric surgery, and my struggles, and maybe answer some questions that other people may be having that I know I have. And so I wanted to reach out and or sit down with have a conversation with him. Couple, I don't know. There's a whole lot of people that I want to talk to, and it just goes to, getting the word out and building up to. Well, I guess it'd be a good time to. I wanted to do in line with Dr. Kellis, as much as I want to get him on for episode 41, on April 1st. That's going to be a really big episode for me for this podcast, and I really can't. I don't think I can oversell it as much as it excites me talking about it. But I want to do the interview number 4 with Lex. He spends about 20 minutes talking about songs and music. And I'd really like to talk to him about the consequences of AI taking over, and how AI can't actually make music, because music is more than just pleasant sounds. With the lyrics, they come from experience and being a human, and from all the different life experiences and all the different genres. So how music, a world without music, I can see as a plausible future if we let AI continue without considering the unintended consequences. And that's why I like listening to Lex's podcast, because it helps me think. And that's why I did the things with Elon Musk and the things that unintended consequences that I don't think he's considering with the Apophis, or these things that go silent in the world. I'm just trying to get people to think about it. So a world without music. I wanted to do something I was considering is the March Madness of music, and break that down. I'm starting to gather entrants, so I need 64 musical artists, and we're going to break them down. Hopefully me, and I don't know who, I hope it's more than me. Break them down to from 64 to 32. Break them down the brackets based on the criteria that I think we'll agree upon. But I think there's objective criteria that you can judge music by more than just an art form. So I'll get more into that, but I'm looking for people, anybody that wants to submit a musical group that thinks they're the overall, and I hate using best, but most well-rounded musical group, and break that down all the way to Final Four, and then 2 and then 1, and the best overall. Want to do something like that in March, and hopefully by then I'll have some other people involved with the podcast or webcast or whatever it is. I think I need to wrap it up. I do need to do some editing, and until I actually get more help, or just continue down this path, I'm going to have to do some editing. So I'm going to wrap this up. It's 2:13 on February 9th. And until next time, live a good life.